First of all, I want to say I decided to ditch the slides. I took one look at this area, and I was like, this is not a slide kind of thing. So we're going to have a conversation, which means if you have a question about something I say or you don't get it, just be like, hey, I didn't get that. Say that again, whatever, and we'll do it, okay? We'll keep it casual, just like this whole event seems appropriate. So I want to tell you before I get into the meat of the presentation how I got to this presentation. So 20 years ago when I got into the financial industry as a marketer, everything we did was based on creativity and experimentation and gut. Like, hey, let's try this. Let's be creative. Let's do something interesting. And we would see if it worked. And sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't work. Now, we grew a pretty good business. Over time, I started a consulting firm. I worked with over 1,000 advisors. We still did things on gut and creativity, but I started to see, the more advisors I worked with, that there was a difference between what top performing advisors did and what average advisors did. Now, I would start to quantify that, but it was 100% anecdotal. I would say, okay, well, this is what this advisor did. This is a good practice. But you know, even best practices don't work for everybody. So at best, we were still experimenting. In 2016, I started Snappy Kraken, and a lot changed. Because by working with thousands of advisors and living in an age where we have data readily accessible, like real data points, we could start to quantify what really works. And that's why there is this presentation now, because I can definitively say, this is what conventional advisors do and get conventional results. This is what the top 20% of advisors do and get outstanding results. And that is what this presentation is. I'm going to share with you what the top 20% are doing based on the data, and I'm also going to share some examples, some anecdotal examples with you. We're going to break it down into 3 things. Now, there are other things, but these are the 3 primary things that we see these advisors doing to get exceptional results. Some of what we'll cover is a little technical. If you want the slides, or if you want a copy of my book, which goes into more detail on this, all you have to do at any time during the presentation, I'll leave it up, is you can text Kraken to 33777. K-R-A-K-E-N. There's no C in Kraken. K-R-A-K-E-N to 33777. That is the most common misspelling, by the way. Okay, so let's get into it. Number 1, break the mold advisors. They allow their audience to drive their messaging. Their audience drives their messaging. Now, let me tell you what I mean by that. And to do so, I'm going to first start with a contrast of what average advisors do, because we're going to show the difference, right? So average advisors, guess who drives their messaging? They do. Yeah, exactly. They market to themselves. Did you know that? Most advisors market to themselves. Now, some people would say that's stupid. Advisors don't market to themselves. But you know how I know they do? I can tell you every time I see an advisor who's marketing to themselves, when I get their technical analysis commentary that's 3 pages long, with all the charts and all the data points on all the indices, that is not what the vast majority of clients want. Now, if you work with engineers and that's what they want, okay, maybe you're an exception. But that's not most advisors. And yet that's what they send out. I can also tell you how I know. When they use the same stock photos and the same cliches that are so common in this industry. Like, hey, that advisor did it. They're successful, so I'm going to do it. Who are they marketing to? The other advisors. That's problem number 1. Problem number 2, they market to everybody. I call it spray and pray. They sign up for some platform, some marketing platform, and all the content just keeps going out. The same emails go to everybody. The same social posts go to everybody. And there's no separation. Now, some advisors are a little better, okay? I'm going to get to the best practice in a minute, but before we do, this is the other big mistake. They use demographic data. Now, demographic data, you might think, oh, I'm getting more sophisticated now, because I'm going to tell you, I work with people who are between 30 and 60 in a 2-mile radius of this area or a 10-mile radius of this area, and they have this much in investable assets, and they own a home, and guess what you get? Rich white people. This is all demographics get you. Like, you're not really knowing your client. You're not letting your audience drive your messaging. You're just letting demographics or your own personal preferences or the spray and pray approach of some marketing platform. What do break the mold advisors do? they really get to know some specific things about their audience that demographics cannot tell you and that you cannot deduce on your own. Let's talk about what they are. Number one, I'm going to give you three. Who are they? What are they thinking and feeling? And what do they want? Who are they? What are they thinking and feeling? And what do they want? See, what this gets to is the motivation of a person, the beliefs of a person, the priorities of a person. That is how you market to somebody and reach them, because you understand them. Now, how can you do that? That's called a psychographic profile, by the way, not a demographic profile, a psychographic profile. How do you achieve that? I'm going to give you the easiest exercise you can ever do. It will not take you long. You'll get to spend some quality time with some of your best clients, and the outcome will be marketing that works and gets you the clients you want and really resonates with people. Here's what you do. You get out a piece of paper, and you draw a line down the middle. And you can do this with a spreadsheet if you want as well. And on the left column, you put most profitable clients. Most profitable clients. And you list all your most profitable clients. Now, if you don't know that, we got a bigger problem to solve. You should know that. Most profitable clients. On the right side, you start another column, and this is the column. Clients I love. Clients I love working with, my most enjoyable clients. So you got two columns. You got most profitable, and you got most enjoyable. Here's what you're going to find. You start cross-referencing names, and there are people that are on both lists. Those are the people you want to build a psychographic profile on, because that's who you want more of. Now, how do you get to a psychographic profile? By the way, I got my slides printed out. These are also my notes. Last minute change, so bear with me here. How do you get to a psychographic profile? You ask them questions. You interview them. I'm going to give you some of the questions you can ask them right now. Here we go. What gives you fulfillment? Why? What keeps you up at night? Why? What is your favorite way to use free time? Why? What news stories attract your attention? Why? What is your dream vacation? Why? Because when you ask those questions, something new emerges that is not where they live and how much they make and their average net worth. What emerges is a profile that says things like, they are constant learners. They like to give back to their community. They like to spend money on travel and luxury goods. They care about this. They care about that. They spend their energy here. What this allows you to do is create marketing that is really meaningful to them. Now, I said a lot of this is based on data, too. Here's what's really interesting. When we started looking at the data on thousands of advisors, because we have Google Analytics, too, we can see some things. There are very common interests that rise to the top. And you know, there are things you might not expect, like cooking, shopping, reading celebrity news. So what do you do with all this? You start to produce content that is what we call the interest intersection. So just imagine, there's a line right here. This is all the things you as an advisor want to talk about. But then there's another line right here. And this is all the stuff that's really important to these people in your psychographic. Those two things intersect. That is where your marketing gets great. I'll give you some examples. Worked with a client, wanted to target parents, people average age between like 30 and 40. They wanted to talk to these people about finance. High earners, not rich yet. How do they reach these people? The advisor knew that a lot of these people had questions about college planning and the cost of raising kids. Now, the typical approach to that is to get some nice pictures of families and create a blog post about the cost of raising kids. But see, what we did is we tapped into a little nostalgia. We created a video game theme around it. It was targeting the video games they played when they were children. You could see the little kid Pac-Man eating all the money throughout their life. We made it engaging and interesting and targeted to that profile. There's lots of examples like this, because here's what you're trying to get to. Extremely specific content for an extremely specific audience. That is what break the mold advisors do. They do not settle for spray and pray. They do not settle for what makes them happy. They do not settle for the canned content that's just being automatically spewed out. They make sure it is focused on a specific psychographic profile of their ideal client. All right, let's move on. Number 2. I hate this paper thing. Should have probably used my phone. Let's see. Still better than slides though, right? Okay. Yep. All right, good. All right, number 2, here we go. They market like humans, but at scale. They market like humans, but at scale. Now, we said there's what average advisors do, conventional, and then there's break the mold advisors. So let's talk about what typical advisors do. Set it and forget it. Set it and forget it. But see, when something is set it and neglect it, that's really what I call it. It means you're not putting any of yourself into it. It's not human. It's a computer. I'll give you an example. The number 1 and number 2 most utilized marketing platforms in the industry. They have the most market share. Over 100,000 advisors on these platforms. They have an automated birthday email that goes out. I refuse to use one of those. We don't have one on our platform. You know who sends out automated birthday emails? Chili's, ever since I was 16. And anybody that ever got your email address and your birthday. Now, when you get an automated birthday email, do you go, oh man, that was so nice of them. I am so glad they thought of me. No, at best, as an advisor, this is a relationship you have with a human. What you're saying to them is, my computer remembered your birthday. You see, that's a feature they sell as a good thing, and it completely undermines a relationship. We'll talk about a better way in a minute, but just imagine a continuum, okay? You got this continuum of a relationship. And on one end, the person is a stranger. And on the other end, the person is a raving fan, referring client. Now think about all the stages they have to go through from stranger to raving fan. In stage number 1, they don't know you yet, they don't like you yet, they don't trust you yet. They're a stranger. And everybody is leery of strangers. So most advisors say, look, I got a new prospect. I want all their information. I want to know their assets. They better bring me all their financials, their tax statements. If I'm going to get a lead, it better be fully qualified. I want to know all these things about this person. It's a stranger. Why should they give you all this? Break the mold advisors know that you have to build trust over time. See, the way you communicate with a stranger is not the same way you communicate with a friend. So at the beginning, what do? You make it really low risk and really high value. Just like a teeter-totter, right? You want low risk, high value. Give me your information, very little risk, maybe just a name, maybe just a cell phone number, maybe just an email address, and let's get started. Let's start to build trust. And then over time, they get more information. How do you apply this at scale? Let's move a little forward. Let's say someone is now opted in through that low risk opportunity, and now you want to build the relationship stronger, to go from stranger to someone that likes you or is interested in you or at least wants to have a deeper conversation. What could you do? Most advisors just put them on a drip list. Just send them the same commentary every single week. Put them on the drip. We'll see what happens. Eventually something will change in their life and they're going to come forward and talk to me. But that usually doesn't happen. Sometimes it happens, but how can you make it more predictable? By marketing like a human at scale. I'll give you an example. We have a sequence. It's an 8-part sequence for new opt-ins who just expressed a little bit of interest. And in every one of those messages, whether it's an email or a text message, the goal is to deepen the relationship just a little bit and earn a little bit more trust and build a little bit more credibility. Now, we used to do this by text only, okay? Now, we didn't send blast emails. We didn't put them on newsletter lists because that's not personal. So it was good to send a one-to-one email. But I'm going to tell you what we did. We realized, hey, we're trying to get these people to like and trust this advisor. Let's see what we can do to really make that happen. And you know what we came up with? It's not going to be anything super exciting. Video. You know this. But here's what we did. We created a video message that could be played over and over to all prospects that says, hey, it's really nice to meet you. Thank you for opting in. I know I've been telling you a little bit about my business in these past emails. I wanted to send you a video message. Here's the number one most common question my clients have. Now that question, guess who it's related to? The psychographic of their ideal client. And they say, and this is how I answer that question. Now sometimes this question leads to this question. And if you'd like to talk about that question, right below, just send me a message. And we put the video on a landing page with a little submission form right below it. You know what happened to the responses? They went up 176%. 176%. Do you know when we started putting video in the email subject line, open rates tripled just because we said there was a video. Now, what are we doing here? We're scaling because we're sending out a video message. We're sending it to everybody. It's the same video message, but it's a human message. It's a human face. There's a person behind it. It's not the canned newsletter drip. It's you, an advisor, saying, here I am, let's talk like humans. They market like humans at scale. Let me go back to my example about the birthday email. Undermines credibility, undermines trust, says I don't care about you, only my computer does. What do you do instead? If it's a friend, now not your mom, okay, not your best friend, but like a friend that you want to keep in touch with and you care about, and you know it's their birthday, what do? What are you most likely to do? Call them? Now, that is a great thing to do with clients, but you know what? It's hard to scale. So what if you segment your clients and you say, these are my A+ clients I call, and these are my B clients, and I'm going to set up an automated text message. And the text message goes out on their birthday and says, hey, I just want you to know I was thinking about you on your special day. I hope it's awesome for you. Now, you didn't have to think about it. The computer did it, but you know what? It's human because it feels human. That video message that went out to everybody in your nurturing list automatically on day 45, it's scalable, but it's human because it feels human. They market like humans at scale. Number 3, they focus on building relationship equity. They focus on building relationship equity. Now, I want you to picture a bank account that only gets withdrawals. I mean, come on. Everything is deposits and withdrawals. And you got to keep a positive balance. This is exactly how break the mold advisors think about marketing. They don't just ask, sell, take. They focus on building relationship equity. So at the very least, it's 4-to-1. Deposit, withdrawal. Deposit, withdrawal. So that's how we work in our emails and our text messages and our marketing. Give, ask. Give, ask. You have to make deposits. Now here is the mindset of a typical advisor. I know none of you are typical, by the way. And when I say this, it's not to be insulting. I'm an advisor too. I built a practice. This is not to be insulting. But we work with 6,000 advisors, and I get to see the best, and I get to see the worst. Most advisors approach marketing like a Las Vegas slot machine. I put the money in, I pull the lever. I put the money in, I pull the lever. I want to get a big win. I want to get a big payday. I want to get a big client. Pull the lever, and the house always wins because that's not the right way to market. Break the mold advisors. They think like farmers, not gamblers. It's a different mindset. They're going to seed the ground and they're going to water it. They're going to seed it and they're going to water it and they're going to seed it and they're going to water it and they're never going to stop watering it. They're not going to let it experience a drought because they know if they keep doing that, it is going to bear fruit for them in their business. They give, and the harvest comes. They deposit, and the harvest comes. And it's not instant. It's not the slot machine win, but it's consistent. It's predictable. How many people get rich playing slot machines? How many people get rich as farmers? You've got to have a farmer mindset when you approach marketing. And I said I would tell you about the data. Now I'm going to in a minute. But first, I want to tell you about a psychological principle. It's called the familiarity effect or the mere exposure effect. It's been studied since the 1800s. And what it says is this: the more we are exposed to something, the more we like it. Basically. So, hear a song the first time, Hear a song the second time, I kind of like it. Third time, that's my jam. I love that song, right? Mere exposure effect. They did a study, they've done a lot of studies on this, but one, for example, they showed people hundreds of random faces just cycling through. Some of the faces they showed more, 25 times. Other faces they only showed once or a few times. Then they did an evaluation afterward. They asked the people, which faces do you like best? And they showed them all the faces. And guess what? The faces they saw more were consistently the ones they liked. Where does this apply in your marketing? Deposit. Face, getting your face out there. This is another reason why the canned spray and pray content doesn't work. When we build content, we make the advisor put their videos in. We make the advisor put their pictures in. They're like, oh, this takes time. I got to spend like an hour a week. Yeah, an hour a week. Because you want people to see your face. You want to make it personal. We did 90% of it for you. It's like filling out a Mad Lib, but yeah, put yourself in it. Yes, put that picture of what you did with your kids over the weekend in it so they know you're a human being. So they can start to like you. As they see you more and more, the results will improve. This is not just anecdotal. Let me tell you the data. I am looking at an analysis of 6,000 advisors marketing conducted over 4 years. We looked at over 30 million data points. When we do marketing, we look at landing page layouts, colors, fonts, how different pictures perform, how different headline colors perform, email open rates, click rates, social media click rates, all of it. We look at all of it. This was one of the most interesting things we found when we looked at the data. Average advisors, 1.6, not quite 2. Can't really hold up a half finger. 1.6 communications per month on average to their list. That's the average. 1.6. So they're sending out probably a monthly market commentary and maybe a couple other things throughout the year to get to 1.6. The top 20% of advisors average 4.3 per month. 1.6 per month versus 4.3 per month. Now, are we talking about just the frequency? Is that what put them in the top 20%? No, I'm talking about the top 20% of performance of their marketing. Now, the difference between the 1.6 and the 4.3, that's effort. That's how much effort they put in to making contact. How did it affect their results? The 1.6 advisors, their open rate was 33.6%, their actual conversion rate was 6.6%, and they generated 6.8 leads on average per campaign they deployed. The 4.3 times per month advisors, 55% open rate versus a 33% open rate. A 10.6% conversion rate versus a 6.6% conversion rate. 15.8 leads per campaign versus 6.8 leads per campaign. They got more opens, they got more conversions, they got better results simply because of the familiarity effect. They did it more. Farming, more seeds, more harvest. All right, we're almost out of time. I will stay and answer questions as long as they let me. But let me conclude with this. Did you get the 3 points? Your audience drives your messaging. You market like a human, but at scale. And you focus on growing relationship equity. If you want more on this, text Kraken to 33777. And I want to just tell you a quick story at the end. Joe Tilton, advisor we worked with, he was promoting an event. He sent out postcards. He got 2 responses. He was concerned because he was already paying for the event. So we looked at these 3 principles. We said, what does your audience really care about? He said, right now, probably Medicare. Okay, what's the number 1 Medicare problem that you probably solve for them right now? He said this. Okay, great, let's be human about it. Record a 30-second video that tells that you're going to answer that question and another question that you're going to answer at the event. Give them value in the video. Give them something free, a free piece of knowledge in the video, because we're going to focus on growing relationship equity. And tell them if they want more to come to your event. He sent out the video to his list. 4 days later, he had 34 people at his event. Market like a human. At scale. Focus on relationship equity. And you will break the mold, and you will far excel above what average advisors do. Thanks for your time and attention.